Wizard 101 used to be a game where every school felt and played unique, and both casual players and hardcore players alike could find something in the game to enjoy and love. Me personally, I liked playing Life, Storm, and Fire at the start of the game. And I kind of fell in love with those schools, primarily Storm, as some of you guys may know here on the channel. And I quested up all 7 characters, obviously, for my YouTube channel, so I could understand the game on everybody. And if somebody from a school I did not main was saying something, I had the experience on that school to relate to it, or kind of, put myself in their shoes to understand what they might actually be saying. And now, where has this gotten me? Where has this gotten me, guys? Well, blocked by the developers. That's where this has gotta be. Well, not by all of them, but I think Rapid actually blocked me on Discord, which is kind of wild because the amount of time and effort I put into Wiz, and for them to understand the game is just kind of wild. I put a lot of time into this game, very passionate about it. I want to see it do better, and the rate it's going right now without any change, I don't see Wiz staying alive the past couple of years. And in today's video, I'm going to break this down into a bunch of points. I'm going to start off with PvP and how this is leaking into PvE, and has been for some time now, and why that model KingsIsle has, aka the combat model or whatever, is not going to work out, and it's going to lead to the detriment of the game. So the combat model that KingsIsle has put out, I think ever since Lemuria, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's Novus, I think it's Lemuria though, this has only had bad things along with Rochambeau onto the game. Okay, and the proof I have of this is simply by looking at the PvP leaderboards. There are less players than ever, there's less high rank players than ever, and there's less schools in queue than ever. Okay, right now in the current meta over the past like 6 months, 3 out of 7 schools have been playable in the meta. Now the problem with this model, in case you're unfamiliar with it, is the fact of the matter that KingsIsle has actually found a way to make every school basically do storm damage. Now, I said this a lot back at 150. I was like, dude, they just literally do my damage as a storm wizard. What I was saying back then, I realized now, is the fact that, yes, the model simply is designed in a way where every school kills each other in the same amount of hits. Now, you might think, okay, that's like reasonable and balanced, right? However, the legacy design of Wiz that's not the case, right? Fire and Storm are supposed to out-damage everybody because they're damage per pip. And how do they pay that? Well, with an accuracy burden. So the problem with this design is when you give every school's inflated stats to deal with the DPP, but then they don't have the burden of accuracy or pips on their school, right? Obviously, those schools are going to be better, and we see that reflect again in the leaderboard. So what this has resulted in is no Storm players are playing anymore except for Awesome the Sauce, essentially. And everybody else has quit because of how unbearable the school is to play and how unbalanced it is right now. Same thing with Fire. I think we have like 1 high-ranked Fire right now in the entire game. My Fire is pretty high rank as well, but I stopped playing PvP. Obviously, I posted that video like 2 weeks ago explaining why. You can look into that if you'd like to. But yeah, no, the game's just not doing good at all, and Storm and Fire are 2 of the 3 most popular schools, Death, Storm, and Fire. Basically, unplayable in PvP right now, and if this design model is going to leak into PvE, which it has with the Nightmare update, and this new 240 damage cap that KingsIsle has put in out, it does seem they're copying and pasting that over to PvE, which is really, really bad, right? Right now in PvE, on a Storm, I can hit the 240 damage cap without even trying, but the problem is, I can do that on a balance as well. So, what is the point of me playing Storm when a balance can simply get my damage? There's nothing special about playing my school anymore. And this is what KingsIsle fails to understand about balancing their game, and the feeling and the immersion of having a school and making it unique in the first place. This has been completely shattered and went out the window. There's nothing special about playing a school anymore. There's nothing. The stats aren't special. The feel isn't special, it's all very formulaic, and you play the same way on every school like 8 times out of 10 in PvP. And in PvE, now everybody's just gonna have 240 damage and just aura frenzy into a hit or whatever. And it's just like, okay, like why? You know? And the whole counter argument by the developers is, oh, DPP. DPP isn't something that players see or feel, and it's not part of the immersion, right? You can scream DPP all you want on a storm. If my health, my resist, my accuracy, my pips, my crit, and my block are bad and my cards, it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter. It genuinely does not matter. Oh, and my Pierce, by the way, because they've taken away Storm's Pierce, even though it's the last can school of the game. Great, you know, props there to KI. Good stuff, guys. And then you wonder why players quit the game. And that's just Storm, right? I'm not even talking about Fire. I'm not even talking about Ice, right? Ice is supposed to be the tank school. Not a tank school anymore. That goes to life. Or, like, you know, death or balance for that case. Fire, there's not really a reason to play Fire in the current state of the game because, I mean, death exists, right? But yeah, my point is this combat model KingsIsle has made has proven for years, time and time again, it does not work in PvP, but it is coming into PvE, as we see with the 240 damage cap here, as of the Wallaroo update, right? And also the whole advanced combat difficulty thing leaking into standard mode. With the Nightmare, the players have made it clear they also do not like that stuff. And the whole Rochambeau thing in general, the players just don't like it because you stripped identity away from the players, right? Look at Life. Life is a better Ice now, right? Every school is a better Storm than Storm. You gave Storm healing, which nobody asked for. Storm players just want damage and Pierce and just spam hits and play Brain Dead, you know? That's kind of the main thing that most Storm players want, and I think we can generally agree on that. So you strip the whole identity away from the player and gave them something they did not ask for, and they do not like, and you're still just rolling with it, and you're about to introduce that to 95% of your player base, which you have here, which is why I think the Nightmare Dungeon is such a big flop in most players' minds, right? The only people that like the Nightmare Dungeon are the people that are already doing raids and stuff like that, which again are like the 1% of the player base, or at most 5% of the player base. So if KI keeps going at this rate and keeps catering to that like 1 or 5 percentile, I don't see the game going forward anymore, right? Because in that 1 to 5 percentile, the players aren't happy, and the model has proven time and time again not to work. So if you put that into PvE, you're simply just willingly, consciously killing off your game. Like I said, just look at the 240 damage cap for all schools, right? They all hit it, no problem. Other schools have better stats than others in PvE, no problem. Same issues as PvP. And DPP doesn't matter because I cannot see that, I cannot feel that on the stat page. Doesn't matter. I don't care if a Storm has 3 more damage than a Death, if a Death has 4,000 more health, 25 more resist, can dual school with 4 schools, has like 200 more crit than me, pierces all my resist, I don't pierce all theirs, better pips, better piecer, better cards. I don't care about that 3 damage if they have their dick sucked by 8 different stats. I don't care. Anyways, that's enough talking about PvP. I want to talk about the grind and stuff like that, which I think is something important to talk about over the years, right? Players have made it clear ever since Darkmoor. Darkmoor is like the peak or whatever in a lot of players' minds. What we have now with Lemuria, Novus, and Wallaroo, the game just feels like a full-time job, and I made many videos talking about this on the channel in the past. But basically, what the players mean when they say that, a full-time job, is simply, you have to put so much time in for no reward, right? If I go and farm the Nightmare, I'm not guaranteed to get an Ice piece. Even if I do advanced combat mode or whatever, I'm guaranteed a piece, but that could be like 1 piece out of like 50 or something that I need, right? And the grind is so tedious and unfun that it's gone to a point where you are incentivized, whether it's a raid or the Nightmare, to spend money on the chest because of how bad the game is. And I don't know if KI intentionally is doing this to increase the cost of the raid chest and the Nightmare chest because they know the players don't want to do it, and they know how bad and unreasonable the grind is. You know, I don't know if they are intentionally doing that or not, and I hope not, because that's just really sad. Honestly, feel like if Wiz had some competition, it wouldn't be so bad, but Wiz is just such a unique and special game. It doesn't really have the competition to, you know, inspire them and motivate the devs to like be better and actually listen to the community, you know? A common game I talk about here on the channel is Overwatch, right? Obviously, it's a whole different genre, but those devs might not be amazing at their job, but they at least try new things, right? They'll at least try and make updates. Wiz does not do that. Whether it's because the devs don't want to, or don't understand what the players are saying, or they literally cannot due to like upper management in the company, I don't really know. I just know from a player, it feels like we don't get the updates, and they don't care to actually make the updates based about what the player is saying. And this is further reinforced when the developers themselves say they do not make changes around like the meta and like player feedback or whatever. I mean, they listen to player feedback, but they don't listen to the actual meta about what players are saying, right? For example, right, they might look at ice. Okay, ice needs a buff, so we're gonna buff shields. But what are already broken in the meta? Shield gambits. So we buff shield gambits for myth and death, which again are 2 out of 3 of the most broken OP schools being queued right now. Death, myth, and balance in the game. So by trying to buff ice, you indirectly buffed 2 out of 3 of the only playable schools because you're trying to buff ice, right? This is why your philosophy doesn't work for balancing PvP and the game right now, because by touching one thing or having one goal in mind, you are not conscious or aware of the other things that are going to happen, you know? You could buff ice Scion damage because ice is struggling, okay, fair enough. That doesn't mean you touch Death Oni and Myth Jin as well. Or because healing is broken on a life does not mean healing is broken on a storm. That's 2 different things. I have 5,100 less health on a storm, 20 less resist, like 200 less block rating, and I get my, like, bro, what? What? It's a whole different game. It's a whole different school. Stop changing the game like that. It's stupid. You make changes around the meta. Ice is weak. Buff shield gambits. Buff their shield gambit, for example. Or Storm is bad. Okay, we're gonna buff Storm healing, but leave life healing because life seems to be fine, right? That's how you'd balance a game, and that's how you'd make your players happy. Or players feel like they don't have any identity to the school anymore because everybody plays the same in PvE and PvP. Okay, we're gonna make the stats a bit bigger. If you're a Storm, you get like 80 more damage than Ice. Not literally the exact same goddamn damage in PvE now. Getting my brain rotted by getting Banshee'd in PvP because the game's not being updated and nothing's being done about Banshee, right? For example, like, it's just like, god, man, I can't, bro. I can't. And I try so hard to censor myself in these videos, whether it's like being like family friendly or, you know, being nice to the devs and stuff like that, but like, I don't know, man. I'm just really worried about the future of Wiz, and I think if they keep going at this rate, you're going to kill off your game. You're going to probably lose your jobs because nobody's going to be playing or paying for the game anymore. And I've been saying this for a while, guys. If you're a PvP player, primarily a Stormfire or Ice, just cancel your membership, man. Like, get your gear, cancel your membership, don't buy another one until there's an update. You're not paying for anything in the game right now. There's no point at all, guys. The company needs to do better, and the developers need to listen to the community better, because right now, what we got, again, not working. History has shown over the years, it is literally not working. It is only making more players quit over time. You could even reflect this to content creators, right? How many content creators are there left doing PvP? Only Awesome the Sauce? Okay. How many content creators do we have like 4 years ago? You could probably count, right? And there's all gone now. Why is that? Common thing. Rochambeau, PvP is bad, the devs don't listen, right? There's a common theme here. So my whole point of this video is they're sticking that same model and philosophy into PvE, and we see that with the Nightmare and the new damage cap update. Worries me for the future of Wiz, because players have made it very clear they don't like this. Players have dropped, creators have quit, and now you're feeding this into 95% of your audience. It is just not a formula for success in the game, and I don't want them to do this. I want the game to do better. I want the devs to do better. I want them to make more money so they can update the game more. But you guys need to seriously start being like grateful and thankful for what you have and work with what you got right now. That's everything I got for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments below, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching, and take care.